Welcome back to the deep dive. So, Human Rights Day is coming up on December 10th, and it always gets us thinking. We thought we'd use this chance to look at a human rights challenge that honestly is almost always overlooked, mainly because of politics.
That's right. Today, our mission is to unpack the really neglected issue of terrorism victims in Iran. Our sources show this whole topic gets stuck. It's caught between security, politics, and human rights. And the result is that it's just structurally absent from the big international reports.
Okay, let's just jump right in. The scale here it's just staggering. To give you a sense of this, documented data shows that more than 23,000 Iranian citizens have been killed in terrorist attacks since 1979.
23,000. And what's really fascinating and what gets lost in any discussion is who these victims were. This wasn't just, political targeting, not at all. The sources are clear that they represent a huge spectrum of society, mostly ordinary people.
Exactly. That number is so abstract. But when you break it down, who are we actually talking about? Can you give us the specifics?
Of course. I mean, the data is shocking. We're talking about 500 children under the age of 12, and 100 of those were under 5 years old. Just think about that for a moment.
Yeah.
It also includes 650 women, 800 farmers, 650 workers, 200 teachers and students. The message is clear. This was about hitting the heart of society.
It's a toll that just goes beyond any political argument. So if we connect this to international law, what does that mean? This seems like a massive violation of the right to life.
It's a textbook example, a widespread violation of a right that's considered inherent, absolute, and non-derogable.
Non-derogable. For our listeners, that's a key legal term, right? It means a right that can't be suspended for any reason, not even in an emergency.
Precisely. And it's enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And when you see systematic attacks on civilians like this, you're potentially looking at what constitutes crimes against humanity.
Okay, so that brings us to the really interesting part. Given the scale, why the limited global attention? Why isn't this a bigger story in human rights circles?
Yet that's the central question. The sources point to two big structural reasons. The first one is politicization.
Politicization. How so?
Well, terrorism is often segregated. It gets put in the security box, you see, not the human rights box. And when that happens, you ignore all the human dimensions, the family's right to truth, to justice, the trauma.
I see. But couldn't you argue that if the violence is political, the response is bound to be political too?
You could, but the sources argue that victimhood should come first, before the political label. The second problem is a limited data presence. These victims just don't show up in the big international databases. This creates what the source calls a structural absence.
A structural absence. So it's not just that people are ignoring the data. The data isn't even there to be seen in the first place.
Exactly. And that absence isn't neutral. It means when international bodies make policy or allocate funding for victim support, these 23,000 people are invisible. They don't factor in.
So what does that mean for the survivors, for the families left behind?
The impact is just immense, and it lasts for decades. You have communities facing deep psychological trauma. And of course, the economic devastation of family loses its main provider, and they're thrown into poverty. It just shreds the social fabric. It's a major threat to what we call human security.
Which brings us back to that core idea that human rights need to be free from these political hierarchies.
That's the key takeaway. Addressing this isn't just about one country's citizens. It's about restoring some coherence and impartiality to the entire human rights system. Human rights have to be comprehensive and inclusive if they're going to mean anything at all.
A powerful point to end on. And it leaves us with a thought for you to consider. If the definition of a human rights violation really depends on how we classify it politically, then how can the right to life ever be truly universal?